Colby Covington claims he tried to get a fight with SHAVKAT on UFC 310, but wasn't able to succeed, and now he's exploring different options to eventually get back to a title fight by summer of next year. Covington's last octagon appearance was underwhelming. He lost to Leon Edwards by decision, and the matchup didn't turn out to be an exciting one. Many were quick to declare the end of Covington's capability to compete at a championship level, and considering his age, he's certainly facing a difficult situation at this stage of his career. In his last 4 fights, the former interim champion is 2-2. The shtick has gotten old for many fans, and the fast-moving nature of the sport almost never excuses inactivity. There is still some interest in seeing him compete, and we might see that soon. In a recent interview, Colby talked about trying to get the SHAVKAT fight booked, broke down the matchup stylistically, and gave a timeline of his return.
They know I'm a game time player, dude. I love doing the biggest and best business for the company. So I was excited at the opportunity to step in there, but it looks like they're going a different route. They're going to go with potentially with the Usman and shit rat fight, and good on them. That's okay. I'm right there still anyways. I beat someone, I'm right back in the conversation. So top contender. Yeah, he's fought some gatekeepers of the division, some guys right on the cusp of the top 10, but he's never fought a champion like me and a guy who's just going to come at him for 5 straight rounds and just walk him down. So
we're looking at Miami the first quarter of next year. Would you fight JDM in Perth at 312, or do you want to sort of stick to Miami for that fight?
I'd like to stay in America. I think America makes sense. I'm America's fighter. We just won back the White House. So, what's the point? Trump's not going to travel all the way to Australia. This thing's going to be a spectacle. Trump's going to be sitting front row with the family. It's going to be a mega fight.
Michael Bisping and Anthony Smith offer different perspectives on the Jon Jones situation. Bones' continuous dismissal of Tom Aspinall as a title challenger and a worthy opponent has added fuel to the fire of the portion of fans that desperately try to troll him into finally changing his decision to retire after the Stipe bout and give us one more fight, specifically against the interim champion, who many believe can give Jones his first loss inside the octagon. While Tom's position is clear and perfectly understandable, as he is also a title holder in the division, and it is natural for him to desire to get a chance to unify the belts and face the greatest fighter in this sport's history. It is also not difficult to see that Jon has a Mayweather effect on some fans. Many of these would be rooting for Stipe, or if it does in fact take place, for Tom, just so they can witness him take a loss. Bisping and Smith discuss Jon's future after the Stipe bout and offer opposing angles of analysis.
Jon doesn't necessarily owe us a loss. And I think that's what a lot of the public, I'm not saying you and I necessarily, but I think a lot of the public almost feel like, and I don't even know that they realize it, but what they're saying is, well, no, we need another one. Here's another guy. There's always going to be another guy. So if you're Jon, that's what you're thinking. There's always going to be the next guy. So I beat Aspinall, then who? It's going to be another guy that comes after that they're going to talk about, which is how his whole career has been. There's always another guy that they think is the guy. So I don't necessarily believe that to be true, but that's the argument. And then the other argument is Jon doesn't owe us a loss. I think everyone wants to push it to the very, very end and him retire on a loss, or see how far we can push him and see how long he can go. At some point in time, the dude does deserve to be left alone and just retire.
Correct. You're absolutely right, and I wouldn't disagree with that. However, there's a dude that's the interim champ. You know what I mean?
It would be weird to. It is different. It for sure. I'm just giving you the opposite argument that people will give.
Dricus Du Plessis and Alex Pereira have an interesting exchange about a potential fight between them. The South African middleweight champion has no shortage of contenders in his own weight class at the moment, most notably Khamzat Chimaev, who secured himself a title shot after an impressive finish of Robert Whittaker in the first round. After the event, Dricus was quick to start building intrigue about the matchup with the Chechen prospect, taking it to social media and subsequent interviews that he shares fans' interest and excitement about the Chimaev fight, and that's the bout that he wants next. While that is likely what's going to come next, Dricus has also been talking about possibly moving up to the light heavyweight division and testing his limits there. And an obvious option in that case for him would be a chance of double championship in a fight against Alex Pereira. Recently, Alex made a short comment about the possibility of this happening, saying, quote, "I was even willing to go down to middleweight for that one. But now I think I'll stay at this weight for good. If he wants to come up, he's welcome. I'm here. Don't forget to bring your will here as well," unquote. Dricus reacted to this, saying the following.
Strength will never ever be a problem to me. I promise you that. It's the range. The same with Izzy. That was the hardest part of that fight. I missed so many shots by millimeters. But I believe Izzy is more fluent with his style, where Alex Pereira is more of a, stand his ground. He definitely hits harder, and I think he's a bit stronger. But MMA and kickboxing is not the same thing. So my secret to if I'm talking about just the stand-up exchanges, I'm not fighting a kickboxing fight. I'm fighting an MMA fight. In a kickboxing fight, you need to be able to land combos. You need to land massive punches the whole time. Get a guy rocked. You get an 8 count. You have all those variables. Where in MMA, I don't care who you are. If I catch you clean with those small gloves, you're going to go down, and I am going to catch you eventually. But we saw with Khalil Roundtree fights. So we saw a lot of things there. Khalil had a lot of success in those first 2 rounds. I will catch you eventually, and then it's a whole different story, because I'm not engaging in a kickboxing fight. I'm punching and I'm kicking, but it's not a kickboxing fight. It's an MMA fight.
Kenny Florian predicts Jones versus Stipe. Conflicting narratives around John's future in the sport, the Aspinall situation, and the looming retirement have dominated the space in discussions which take place about the upcoming event. What the fight will look like this Saturday on a technical level isn't really being discussed with nearly as much intensity and interest as the stuff surrounding it, specifically on John's side. And while Stipe, being 42 years old and inactive, having been knocked out in his last octagon appearance, explains why many are straight up dismissing him having any chance of winning on this Saturday, expecting the former champion to immediately collapse without offering at least some meaningful resistance seems unwise. How his wrestling and boxing skills will look after a long layoff against John, who uses distance control and devastating ground game as effectively as he does, is interesting. Technical analysis of this clash is still relevant, as always. Kenny Florian breaks the fight down and picks the winner.
Stipe Miocic, who, has knockout power. He has proven that against, some great strikers like Alistair Overeem. Yes, it happened with ground and pound. So, and so he can take people down. He can defend takedowns. He has a shit ton of experience when it comes to big fights. So all of those things are very positive signs. But at 42 years old with a long layoff, going against who I think is the GOAT, John Jones, there's a lot going against him here. And I think that, Jones is really good everywhere. I think, again, Stipe's best shot is trying to catch John Jones early. John Jones is the kind of guy, like a lot of other great and intelligent fighters, that takes time to analyze you. He wants to figure you out and then pick you apart. And it's in that first 5 to 7 minutes where you could potentially test the vulnerability of John Jones. But after that, it's going to be extremely difficult. I like John Jones here, most likely by finish. That does not take away from everything Stipe Miocic has accomplished in this sport.